Well, morning everyone. My name's Aimee, if I haven't met you before, one of the pastors here. And we've been doing a series. We don't always do that. We sometimes do that. This one we're coming back to every few weeks and having breaks. And it's going to take us into next year for a bit. Really encourage you to start back from the beginning. I think today is number 5. Is that what it is? But it's the Heart Matters series, because our heart matters. And the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. Often. And so encouraging you to go back, in particular the first and second weekends where we chatted here, we're going over areas that are blocking our abundance in the Lord, blocking our being leaders and impacting the world and going out bravely and being the fullness of who we were made to be. Some of us aren't living in that complete fullness. There's some chains around our ankles, so to speak, or there's some lack of confidence, maybe some insecurity. Maybe we struggle with a bit of, passivity, or just almost like we feel like we're slumbering a bit in our spirit. Maybe we're distracted often because there are just so many things we're having a hard time with. When our relationships are tricky and painful, especially at home, with children at work, it's really highly distracting and it can take up a lot of our focus and our energy, yeah? Yeah, and so, but there can be some keys for breakthrough to have some generational change. And so we're excited to talk about transformation. Transformation is the Lord's idea, and He's the only one who can do it in our lives. This is not a performance modification series. Hallelujah. Yeah, we don't want a stick of performance in here. We just want to be real, and we just want to be where we're at and loved into wholeness and loved into the more of who He made us to be. So He is the only one who can transform us. He died on the cross to positionally make us completely sinless, sin-free, and complete kids of the kingdom, yeah? We're kings and queens, we're children of Him, and positionally we're completely right before the Lord. It is a completed work. But as you know, and as we've been talking about, as we go about our lives, even though we know Him, there can be areas of our lives and in our relationships and in our habits and in our thoughts where it doesn't look like His finger's been on that one yet. It doesn't look like Him yet. So we're positionally completely sanctified, but there's also a call and an invitation from Him to walk out our sanctification with fear and trembling, to really be intentional about it. How many of you can just know that unless there's an intentionality about it, it's almost like the default is inaction in that area? We've got to engage with Him. We've got to engage with encounters. Most of our transformation happens in encounters. All right, that's where it happens. Encounters as we read the Word, and it transforms us, and He talks to us through that. Maybe encounters at the altar time if you come here for prayer. Encounters on your chair, on the floor, wherever you're encountering Him at home in your God time. Encounters as you're driving. Encounters in a conversation with somebody else. And a stronghold just gets broken, or a aha moment happens. Definitely encounters in prayer ministry, yeah? Did one on Friday overseas to someone in America for 3.5 hours. It was so much fun. Nicole and I doing that together. There was a 2-hour encounter with Jesus this woman went through. For 2 hours, she was encountering Him through so much trauma and all of the stuck places that she had no words at the end of it. And all of this attachment and trust was built back into her system that had never been there in such a harrowing upbringing. It's encounters that we're changed and healed. It's not in the prayer minister. I have nothing to offer you in that area. Transformation is by Him and through Him alone, okay? So to hunger for that and to thirst for it, but to engage with it and to be open to that. So today I want to unpack another area, give you another big key that this can block encounter, and this can block transformation. And to get excited about this key, all right? It can feel uncomfortable, this key, and for some, it can actually be really tricky to engage with, because a lot of us have a hard time when it comes to this key. And I want to talk about transforming in the light. So I'm going to talk about living in full light. What does that mean? What does that even mean, Aimee? So when you think about your life, do you think about your private life? Do you think about your singleness, or your marriage, or your parenting, or your barrenness, or your job, or your lack of job, or your home, or your lack of home? Think about who you are away from here. Does it feel like your whole life is in full light? to the Lord and to others? Is there any area at all that is hidden? Any area. Because if there's any area that's hidden, we're not in full light. Okay? And so today's encouragement, even if it's going to tap into some hard places, is a challenge to live in full light, because that's where the Lord is, and it's where he encourages us to be. He knows how to come into the darkness and find us and help us get into the light, but he doesn't live in the darkness. Even when he died on the cross, he went down and got the key, but he came right back up and is seated in heaven, okay? So he does the same. He comes into our darkness and our hiddenness to get us out of there. He doesn't want to live with us in there. He's not going to join us. He's going to help us get out. And today I want to go into a couple of places where we can find it a bit tricky to live in the full light, just so that any more of us can come through. Is that okay? Do you have permission to do that? Stick on your seatbelt. We're going to some places. Okay, so there are a bunch of scriptures about being in the light, that he is the light. Let's just go through some of them. Okay, Psalm 18:28. For it is you, the Lord, who light my lamp. So there's already intention on being lit up. It is you who light my lamp. The Lord my God lightens my darkness. Okay, so we can all have darkness. To be human is to have some dark spots. But the God lightens our darkness. What an encouragement. 1 John 5:7. But if we all here walk in the light, where are we to walk? In the light. Not come into the light and jump back out of the light. Not straddle half in the light and half out the light. What's the key word? Walk. So we stay and we move. Okay, so we're not stagnant either. We're moving in the light. That's what he wants for us. If we walk in the light as he is in the light, so that's where he lives, remember, we have fellowship one with another. Oh, that can feel tricky for some of us. But true fellowship where all of us is known and loved happens walking in the light. Then the blood of Jesus, his son, cleanses us from all sin. So the cleansing process from areas of darkness, where does it happen? But then we got to walk towards the light and be in the pool of light before the cleansing of sin has happened. How tempting it is to get myself all sorted and cleaned up, and then I'll come into the light where I'll be accepted. So tempting. Oh my goodness, are you suggesting I have to bring the non-cleaned parts into the light and then it gets cleaned afterwards? Matthew 5:16. In the same way, let your light shine before others. So we all have a mandate to shine. We can't shine if we're not full of light, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So we're supposed to be seen. Some of us have a hard time even with that one, which we're going to go to in a minute. We've got to be seen and lit up strong, okay? So we need to engage with Jesus to get us brighter and brighter and brighter. That's transformation. 1 Thessalonians 5:5. For you are all children of light. That's your destiny. That is who you are positionally. You're children of the day, positionally. So that is who you are as a believer. We are not of the night or of the darkness, even though some of us are living there just a little bit. Romans 13:12. The night is far gone, positionally. The day is at hand. Okay, Jesus has come. So here's your instruction, everyone. Then let us cast off the works of darkness and put on the armor of light. So that's an instruction, even though positionally we're children of light. It doesn't mean we're living that way, because here's an instruction in Romans. Jesus has already ascended to heaven. We still got some work to do. Okay, so cast off the works of darkness, put on the armor of light. So we've got some casting off to do. Psalm 119:105. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. So that's where a bunch of our light can come from to know how to do this. It's in the word. guidelines of how to live are in the Word, and they hold true even in 2024. Hallelujah. Yeah? John 8:12. This is what Jesus is saying. I am the light of the world. So that is literally who Jesus is. How comforting if we're to become transformed to be light-filled, that the actual light of the world is the one doing it. Amen? He knows what he's doing. Whoever follows me, over here, will not walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. So there's a guarantee that if we follow where he is over in the light, we won't walk in darkness, but we've got to follow over there. We need to get away from darkness, and some of us have little dark spots in our corners. We will have the light of life, and remember, we're supposed to shine. Ephesians 5:8-9. For at one time you were darkness. Well, that's a big statement. But now you are light in the Lord. So positionally, we are all light positionally. But here's the sanctification command. Walk. Here's the key word again. Walk, move. Okay, walk as children of light. For the fruit of light, we've been talking about us as trees. The fruit of light is found in all that is good and right and true. So walking in goodness and rightness and trueness, which is often in the word, which is a lamp to our feet. So we need to walk in that space. Does that make sense? So we're all understanding that there's a light and a dark spot, yeah? Was there anything about a gray spot? No. Okay, so it's light and it's dark. It's all or nothing. All right? So let's celebrate that, but also look at any parts that we're finding a little bit hard. Through those scriptures, we were hearing an invitation to come out of any darkness in our lives. So come out of any darkness, any hiddenness, any unrighteousness in any area. I will poke a finger in a few minutes about what some of those areas could be, just in case we're not quite sure what that means. All right? A handful of places that are dark places are places where there is fear. Okay? If we have fear in our lives, fear of being seen, fear of being known, fear of attaching to a family, fear of having a voice, fear in general, overwhelm, anxiety that's stuck inside of you, that can really feel like darkness to you. How many of you have had an anxiety journey? I found that worse than the depression. I was diagnosed and all. It is harrowing to live with anxiety. Harrowing. Okay? And it does not feel very light in that space. It is not a light space to have anxiety and to have fear. That's an area where there is some darkness still. You are not dark. You are not darkness. You are not your fear and anxiety. You are a child of light. Okay? So I'm not saying this is who you are. I'm saying these are some places, and we're going to help get everyone's feet out of those spots. So some people still have a foot or two or everything into the fear zone, okay? And the fruit of that is retreat, not able to just come forward and connect and be known and lead and get involved in things and be out there. There's a retreat because we live life nervous. Okay, we build a whole lot of coping mechanisms around us if we're someone that has a lot of fear, overwhelm. Does that make sense? So we want to help get everybody out of a fear-stuck place so we can get into the full light and we can start walking, moving forward, which is the opposite of retreat. Amen? Now, this one's a biggie that I know a lot of us actually have a hard time with, and this one is shame. Okay? So shame is like a deep embarrassment in a particular area, or embarrassment in general about who you are, how you look, how you think, what you have to say, and in particular, shame about an area of stuckness that's going on in your life. So shame is like a big thought you have about yourself. And shame is a massive imprisonment. The enemy is like, if I can just get them ashamed, they will be retreated, inactive, hidden, won't connect fully. He's all over getting us into shame. Shame is a very dark place to be stuck in. People can have shame because of unconfessed sin, because the sin is embarrassing. It's not because you don't want to be free of it. Been trying and trying and trying for years, but it's so embarrassing. People can have shame because of something you did way back. Maybe as you were a tween, coming into teenagehood. Maybe as you're becoming a sexual human. The enemy gets in with shame, often in exploratory things that young teenagers sometimes choose to get into. And he can have you in that shame the rest of your life. I invite you into the power of telling. I am not free from that whole thing my whole life. There is nothing in my life that I've done, and there was a list, and that I have not told somebody. Not one thing. That can be like, it was not easy. You have to pass through a membrane of on the inside to even get your words out. But I tell you, when you're on the other side of that membrane, the shame is not there. The fear of what will happen if someone knows is worse than the reality of being on the other side of it, I promise. Get to a point where you're passionate, even though it's not comfortable, about every unrighteous thought, habit, practice, that it is known by someone at any time. I know that sounds pretty big. And for some, they haven't been in an environment or a church where it's been safe to do that, and we're going to get onto that point in a minute. But to be a child of light is to not keep hidden spaces. And the transformation cannot happen in the dark. It happens in the light, remember? Any area, something you watch, come into the light. Something you think, come into the light. Something you do, come into the light. Is your marriage really tricky and dysfunctional? Is bad stuff happening? Is it isolated? Come into the light. It doesn't define you. Is your parenting really terrible? Is just their mess at home? Have your kids walked away from the Lord? Come into the light. It does not define you. It does not define you. Divorced, unwanted singleness, come into the light. It does not define you. The shame is trying to define you. But you are a person of light. You are accepted in the Lord. And some of you don't know that in every area of your heart. But positionally, you are completely accepted in the Lord. You are accepted. And you are acceptable. You are completely accepted, and you are acceptable. There is nothing so bad that the blood is not strong enough for, the cross of the blood. And the blood speaks a better word than your sin ever has told you. And some of us need to get off the judgment seat of ourselves and give Jesus his job back. Because it's prideful to think his blood is not strong enough for that one. That thing, that mistake, even if your mistake lasted 10 years. If you're still stuck in something, guess what? Every single believer has a thorn. Is that comforting? Everyone in this room has a thorn in their side, as Paul did. We all haven't got it out. We're all limping in some way, and the anointing comes. We're still choosing as best as possible to walk in the light, even if we've got that thorn. I got a couple, but there's no one who doesn't know anything about it. So it doesn't matter that you've got a thorn. That is not what we're focusing on. It matters that you're hiding the thorn. We've all got thorns in our side, and we're like, Jesus, take it away. And some of us have had breakthrough that we now get to use as an anointing for someone else because that's the power. Some of us are just not having our breakthrough. For some people, it's a deliverance issue, an inner healing issue, a generational issue. For some people, it's just the Lord going, I'm not going to take it out, Paul, or Kaya, or Nicole, or Kylie. I'm not going to take it out because my grace is sufficient to meet your need. It makes us desperate. We learn how to be desperate when we live with a thorn, if we're doing desperation in the light, which is supposed to be how we walk with a thorn. But a lot of us aren't walking in the light with our thorns in fellowship one with another, when everybody who's our complete safe person, maybe one or two people, that's a lot of everybody's, when they know about the thorn, do they know about every thorn? Or are we over here going, I can't tell about the thorn, and you're fighting in private? The transformation happens out there. Here is where shame comes and says, you can't tell that one. What would happen if they know? You wouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. You wouldn't be, and there's some areas where we're like, hey, let's just release you leading that for a season and let's get this thorn out. And that's okay. But some of us, it's like we expect punishment. We expect punishment and shame and being seen as if we are our thorn. But you are not your thorn. You are not your thorn. What are you? Acceptable and accepted. You are light. You are a child of the Lord. Everyone here has thorn. Everyone here is stumbling and struggling with something. If you have a thorn, put your hand up. Isn't that comforting? It's to be human. But if we can come into the light with our thorns and have fellowship one with another, he will come and he will do some cleansing. He's going to help us. Okay? Your marriage or lack of it does not define you. Your children or your parenting or your lack of them does not define you. Your lack of having a ministry doesn't define you. Your ministry doesn't define you. Your job doesn't define you. Your lack of job doesn't define you. Your health situation doesn't define you. Your energy levels don't define you. Your mental health doesn't define you. Some people are having huge mental health issues in the private of their home, and it's not coming out here because there's shame. What would happen if all of me was seen? But it helps if we go, that doesn't define me. I am a child of light. I am accepted. I'm acceptable. Bring your stuff into the light and then stay in the light and walk. Is that okay? So we need to come out of darkness in every single area. Pride can keep us in the dark too, which is a form of shame. They're like a double-sided coin. Usually where there's shame, there's some pride. Usually where there's pride, there's some shame. They're a double-sided coin. Come into the light. So denial can keep us in darkness. I don't know why this is the darkness patch over here, but denial can keep us in darkness. The acronym? No. DENIAL means don't even notice I am lying. So we can lie to ourselves and completely deceive ourselves, and that's denial. We don't usually know we're in denial, otherwise we wouldn't be in denial. So denial is self-deception. What we need is other people to come in and burst our denial, and that's why we need the body of Christ. Because if we're walking in fellowship, they get to go, oh, what's that? What's that thing? And then we get to work on it together. So denial is minimizing that place of darkness in our life. Oh, it's just this big. It's just one drink. It's just one sexual show that's just really, I like it. It's just. That's another form of denial, is justification. Okay? It's making excuses for the dark area. It's just this because I can't let this go because it's keeping me alive. Let's try the light and Jesus in the body. There's a lot more life over here. This is the lie of denial, is that it's not killing me. Anyone who's in denial are usually killing somebody else. Because there's an idol here that you will do anything to keep. And wherever there's an idol, there's a sacrifice. And it's usually the children, the partner, the work colleagues, the parents. Jesus is the sacrifice to any idol we need to protect. Is there an addiction that you're not calling an addiction because you could stop at any time? Then stop it. And then you'll find out that it's not stoppable. Is there an addiction, which is where the depths of denial function like a stronghold around it, where even outright denial, I'm not even doing it, is over here in the land of denial. So you need to come out of denial. Denial also has blame in it. Started right at the beginning. It was Eve. It was the snake. Okay, so blame is, it's not me. It's everyone else's fault. Okay? It's my partner. It's my children. It's Centrelink. So it's like boom, 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 boom. Nothing is my way. I'm running my life. Surely the irresponsibility is not me. I'm not saying if you're on Centrelink, you're irresponsible. I'm saying blame is irresponsible. Okay, so we need to be people that actually own our stuff and do a bit of a shimmy into this direction. All right? So unconfessed sin are doorways to darkness. Okay. Is it drugs? Come back. Is it chronic, long-term habitual masturbation? Come back. Is it extremes of emotion and outburst and anger? Come back. Tell us. Tell your people there's nothing that defines you. You are accepted and acceptable. Okay? Is it depression? It's okay. It's not too much for us. We have a saying here, we welcome your mess and it's not too much for us. You get to be messy here. And we will prove that to you. We've done a good 10 years of walking people through their heart journey. You don't get to make mess here. We'll put a boundary on that. You don't get to do it and act messy and hurt people. We'll put a little boundary around that. It's cute. We'll do that. You don't get to bleed mess on other people. We will hold you to account gently and thoroughly. But you get to have mess. Because it doesn't define you, because you're accepted and acceptable. You are not a mess. Some of you are like, I am messy. You're not. You are your name, and you are light, and you are accepted and acceptable. You have mess. You are not mess. You are not chaos. You have some chaos. Your chaos is not too much for us. You can't leak your chaos here. We'll help you with how to not do that. But you get to bring your chaos, and it's not too much for us. Okay, you get to bring it all, and we welcome it, and we want it. And you're not going to be judged and punished and banned and cut off like you may have experienced in your upbringing or amongst your friends or in your school or in another church. Any area of secrecy is darkness. Any area of secrecy. Some of us have a hard time with that because some of us went through some things where we actually made agreements to not tell. And we made agreements to have secrecy. And actually, our home was a bit dysfunctional. And the silent or spoken rule in most dysfunctional homes is don't tell. We do it all behind closed doors. And you're in trouble if you're not presenting well. So a lot of us have actually been raised to present well, and we've required it of our children because there's some addiction going on at home, or tyrants, or brokenness in relationship, okay? If there's ever been a trauma where there was neglect, there will be a lot of shame. It's embarrassing that no one wants to love you and be with you. It's embarrassing when there's been a lot of abandonment. If there's ever been active hurt of you, abuse of any type, it is, the shame comes in, okay? So those are two doorways. In a shameful home growing up, shame is modeled by parents. Maybe they live in shame, in particular if there's addictions. Shame is used as a tool for motivation or discipline in some of our homes growing up. And classrooms. There's whole people groups where shame is used at school to get the students intelligent and behaving. And we just think it's normal to have shame. But shame-based motivation is very dangerous. We cannot use shame here to motivate anybody to do anything. It is not of the kingdom. A child's opinions, thoughts, and concerns, if they're repeatedly discounted or ignored, doorway of shame can come in. If value and acceptance must be earned through performance in your upbringing, in your school, in a church, doorways of shame come in because we just can't live up to that perfection. If there's been standards of performance or behavior that are unrealistic, not age appropriate, or expected but not explained, doorways of shame because we just can't live up to it. And if punishment was ever unjust or inappropriate to the offense that happened, doorways of shame can open up. All right? And if we have to keep the family secret, don't tell. Image is everything. Ignore your senses. So all the prophetic feelers start to shut themselves down because what they're seeing in their home is not good, but they're told everything's fine. Ignore the bad things. Keep the family secret. Never get help. Don't trust anyone. Who we are together is all we have and all we need. And then we want to join a family of God, and we have a hard time being corporate. So I just want to validate that if you had any of that in your upbringing, you will have a hard time to step into the light because your whole development is wired for protecting the darkness that's your upbringing. Okay? And so it can be habitual and normal, and you're even like, of course I'm in the light, and I'm here, and I've got friends, but there's just another whole realm of confession and being known and attaching. We think we know we're loved, but I tell you what, when you put all of you out there in bits and pieces, you don't have to do it all at once and have a vulnerability hangover, but if you give all of you and you're still loved, oh, what that writes on your heart by the Lord and by somebody. Remember the last text I sent Nicole, she's my main DNA buddy, plus some other besties where tell all happens. And so she got one of those lovely texts. This is what I was thinking. And she just writes back, you are so safe. You always choose dying. I just love you. That's her response to my confessing sin. That's what it is to bring it into the light and to be treated kingdom way in the light. Okay, so non-shame, non-punishment, but all of it's got to come out here. We don't know we're truly loved and lovable until we risk all to gain all. But if we risk all to gain all and are completely embraced because we know all of us is out here and I'm loved, oh my gosh, a game changer. A game changer. So we want to come into full light. That's got to be our goal, all right, as a believer. Come into full light. This means openness. This means visibility. This means that righteousness that were in those former scriptures about, for the fruit of life is found in all that is good and right and true. We've got to have a passion for righteousness, regardless of if we've got 10 thorns all over us. It doesn't define you, but try and live righteousness even though you're walking with thorns, all right? A goal of transparency and confession. It's like it's our goal. Could we all say that it's like my goal? Not like that would be nice. No, like an active goal. Like you can see it through your texts, you can see it in your friend time, you can see it with a discipler that you catch up with regularly in your DNA group and all of that you intentionally do all the time, that thing. The goal of transparency and confession. Goal of connection, being truly seen and known. Can you say that you have a goal of connection? Few people have it, but we've got to want it. Even if we want it, that's good enough of a start. But over here, there's no goal of connection. There's a goal of hiding, okay? So we've got to have the goal of connection, a goal of being and becoming authentic and real, and you've got to get that going, okay? Righteousness focused, a goal of transparency and confession. We've got to receive love and acceptance there, and encouragement and feedback there. Have you got a goal of receiving feedback about a blind spot you might have? Do you have a goal to receive feedback? Not are you open to it? Are you like, give it to me. Tell me. Esther, I don't mean to expose you, but I hope this is okay. This is one of my people I disciple. So Esther's like, will you mentor me? I have a feeling it's going to suck. That's that's how she asked me to disciple her. And she said, I don't think I'm going to like it. And I said, I probably might not too. That's how we started the relationship. So we do that. And it's not comfortable all the time, but it's like, I don't want this, I don't like it, but I'm choosing it. Choosing to be in the light, and it's going to suck. It's a great way to define it, all right? So let's leave performance behind and just become authentic and real. There's rest in it, okay? But I just want to go over the third point for today, because this is for everybody in the room. We can't encourage people to bring their mess and to live authentically if we're not a safe community for that. Okay, so we also want to come out of performance and shame-based thinking because we are a disciple maker. And we need every single person safe, being on the transformation journey, because if you swipe and take out someone next to you who decides to confess with any performance orientation and shame, and I'm coming after you. No, we need to become, well, I wasn't lying. We need to become a safe community. Every single person here, got to get the shame out of us. Not tut, can't believe they're doing that. Okay, people know when you've got a little eye roll about them. Okay, so we want to become a safe community that accepts the person, not the sin, not the darkness, not accepting that. We're not accepting that. But we're going to stand together. Come on. Let's stand together and we're going to look at those dark patches and come up with a healing plan. Not, I'm not going to accept you, because no one is their stuff. Hallelujah. We are accepted and acceptable. This person has just decided to step into the light and told you stuff that might make your ears burn. Some prayer ministry sessions, I'm like, keep the face calm. Y'all got some shocking stuff you've been into. Come on, we can laugh at ourselves. We can laugh at ourselves. That person needs to know who they are. So you need to treat them as who they are. Who are they? Accepted and acceptable. Okay, so we're showing them Jesus. We need to be an embracing community. Not embracing the sin, embracing the person. We need to be encouraging. Okay, not every conversation needs to be about, and that thing's got to go, and that thing. We're not nitpickers. We're like, wow, look, you're becoming so shiny. Okay, so we want to focus on, you just had a deliverance, and I can see you're now shining even brighter. It's just so great. I've been hearing those conversations around from people who've been having some of the deliverance. Who's heard feedback that you even look different? Yeah. Come on, all of us that had some demons. Let's laugh at ourselves, us imperfect church. We've all got thorns. Okay, so we've got to be non-condemning, okay? We need to not be shame-based, and we need to not be performance orientation. I, shepherd of this house, need you to not have any of that in your dark spots, because the person next to you needs you. I'm not discipling everyone here. I'm not pastoring everyone. My job as a shepherd is to teach you how to be pastoral well. Okay, which is one of the 5 elements of Jesus. He was all 5. The Good Shepherd, Jesus, wants to make you like him. And my honor is to help get those pastoral bits going that are clunky. It looks like these things. Okay, so we don't tolerate the sin. Anything we tolerate, we allow. Some of you have got that going on in your relationships at home. Anything you tolerate, you allow. So we're not going to tolerate it, but we're going to completely accept the person and go, I'm just with you. I'm going to be with you all the way through. All the way through to the end. We got that. We're going to do it together. I will walk with you. Say those words to somebody. Okay? If you can follow through. Don't be flattering. So, some of you may have had this in your history. It grieves my heart if it is so. But there are some symptoms of a shame-based church, and we want none of these things on our list, okay? So a shame-based church, so that we can just go, oh, that's what she's talking about, is that we can see God as giving conditional love, a harsh disciplinarian, and hard to please. We can be legalistic, and it's a controlled gathering time, highly like, no Holy Spirit here. There is an obligation to keep up appearances, an obligation to, so you feel like a demand to appear well. And people must look right on Sundays. How are you? Fine. And how are you? Fine. Fine is not a fruit of the Spirit. Okay, so we want to not be fine or right. Performance is encouraged and applauded. Ooh. Religious performance is the measure of how mature you are. It's one of our things, make and mature disciples of Jesus. But some people, unfortunately, are religious performance as the measure of how mature you are, how you pray, how you dress, how you speak. Perfection is expected and often demanded. Members want and demand public appreciation and attention because serving has become their identity. Look at me serve. I make coffee. Watch me roar. I have prophetic gifting. So, what's your name? What's your number? We would like to get to know you. We're not interested in your prophetic gifting. Okay, so there's little understanding of sonship. Serving is done out of wrong motives, not out of the overwhelming love of God pouring through us, which should be the only reason why we serve. Workers are recruited into church and work programs through guilt, manipulation, and shame. We keep programs going at all cost. Programs can become idolatry. Members keep busy to numb their feelings of inadequacy and shame, trying hard to be perfect and please everybody. People must get involved in as many activities as possible. Often this means an unbalanced, unhealthy lifestyle, little sleep, no time for vacation, too much time away from families and work. But it's required of you because you're a Christian. People are driven into the pastorate, so doing internal ministry, and then into the mission field because they want to do something heroic, for which we greatly pat them on the back. However, the motive can be another form of performance addiction and shame. Shame-based churches think that they are always right. They often put others down and make it a crusade to root out doctrinal imperfections in other churches in the area. Members are to be totally whole at the moment of conversion. Be clean. If they are not perfect or are struggling, they're often told to grow up or get over it. People with chronic problem become an embarrassment to the church. We need to be out saving souls, and you're whining about this chronic problem. Just make it change. Isn't this terrible? People must ignore problems at home, and particularly ignore any problems in the church. Ignore it, ignore it, ignore it. Just like the upbringing dysfunctional family rule. Ignore it, ignore it. Down your senses. What you're picking up is wrong. Loyalty becomes an obsession. Never notice there's something wrong. Keep everything quiet. Follow the leader. Evangelizing can be done out of guilt and shame or trying to keep up appearances rather from the love of God. People become projects to be won or fixed out of duty or trying to win approval. Money is raised by manipulation. So bad. We believe in the value of it, but it's why we don't do all these tithing bits in the middle, but between the holy worship and the word, let's get your money. There can be a deep hatred for sinners or others who do not believe the same way. We draw shame-based, performance-addicted people to our church, but we cannot hold the young people. They get it and they leave. This is a list put together by Sandra Selma Kirsten, who's one of the Elijah House teachers and does a whole seminar on shame. We really do not want to be a shame-based church. It's not kingdom, okay, or performance-oriented. We want to come into the light, and together with all of us just being real and authentic, we just want to walk each other home. Okay, let's just walk each other home. And let's pick up a bunch of other people on the way, because everyone needs to get home in the light and know that they're accepted and acceptable. Is that all right? So here's my challenging question to you. Are you willing to come into and walk in the light? Ponder those corners of your life that are not very yummy. Thought life is up there. Behaviors are up there. Relationship dynamics are up there. Habits are up there. Every thorn in your side is up there. Now let's re-ask it. Are you willing to come into and walk in the light? And don't shame yourself in that question, because this is not a shame-based question. And instead, ask your heart what the resistance says. Some of you could just do with going home and journaling. I felt a feeling of resistance when that question came up. That's okay. We're going to honor our heart. We're not going to mow over it and whip it with spiritual religion. Instead, listen to what it has to say. I'm nervous too because, and start to write your journaling. Because that's where you'll go, I never knew I had shame. I never knew I had fear. I have an expectation of being punished. I have an expectation of losing everything if people knew. And the reason behind your resistance can start coming to the top. And that really matters, because you don't want to go into the light and leave your heart behind. So instead, listen to the resistance and give it a voice. It's okay. It's okay if we leave here today going, I want to. Let's just start there and then go on a journey. I want to walk in the light. And then ask your heart what resistance says and let it speak. And find what's keeping you trapped and stuck in here. And then find a safe person and go, I don't know how. Half of me lives there, half of me here, but I don't know how to get this bit over there. Even if you have to say to them, can you ask me questions? Because I can't even say it. Just ask me questions in this area. Go. Ugh. It's a tough membrane to come through. The fear will be like, stay in the dark. And the shame will be, what are you doing? But Jesus is like, just when you've come through the membrane, it's so much better over here. Yeah, you may still have your thorns for a little longer or a lot longer. And you'll just be known that you're clunky and messy. And guess what? You are accepted and acceptable. Is that all right? So I'm going to pray for you if you give me permission to do that. I'm not praying this over you I don't. I'm just working with your will. So if you are willing, I just want to pray over you. I'm going to pray, and I'm going to ask every intercessor in the room just to help me, but I'm just going to do a bit of war on your behalf, gently and quietly, don't panic, to bind up the shame, the spirits of shame. And they come through the doorway of a stronghold of shame. So shame beliefs. Andy, can you play the You Are Beautiful? Thank you so much. Even as we were worshiping in the song, You Are Beautiful, I heard the Lord speaking it to you. He was singing it to you. He was like, oh, a lot of people in this room do not know they're accepted and acceptable because they're defining themselves. Intercessors, you can just be praying under your breath. They're defining themselves by their dark spaces. And he's like, oh no, you are a child of light. Hello. I am light, and I've put my light in you when you accepted me, and my blood speaks a better word. And he's just saying over you right now that you're beautiful. Not you have dark spots. So just shut your eyes if you feel comfortable. And we'll go 5 over for Paradox Kids. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. Can you hear him singing it over you? You're beautiful. So beautiful. Let the light in, guys. Let the light in. You're beautiful. You are not your mess. You are not your mess. Beautiful. You are not your broken things, your broken relationships. You're beautiful. You are not your past. You're not your addictions. You're not your sexual journey. You're accepted, you're acceptable, you're beautiful. You're beautiful. shame. You're beautiful. You're not your weaknesses. You're not your stuck places. You're not your thorns. You're not your thorns. You're accepted. You're acceptable. You're a child of light. I've put my light in you. There's more than enough light in you. You can do this. Come out of the dark. Come out of hiding. Be known. They won't hurt you. They won't judge you. Attached to my bride, they'll accept you. They'll accept you. Risk your heart. Risk your story. It's beautiful, 'cause my blood is all over it. My blood is enough. My blood is enough. You need to forgive yourself. It's time to forgive yourself. Take my blood. Do it now. It's time to forgive yourself. Take yourself off the hook. Take yourself off the hook. Get off of the judgment seat. Receive His blood. Forgive yourself. Just forgive yourself. His blood says you are off the hook. That story is on my hook. Receive my blood and go in peace. I, Aimee, your sister in Christ, forgive you, and the Lord forgives you. Receive His blood. You're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're accepted and acceptable. Father, I just take authority over every spirit of shame, every spirit of fear, and even the panic of being known. I take authority over every generational spirit that's kept the secrecy. I take authority over vows of silence and agreements with secrecy that people have learned developmentally, and I break them by the power of the Lamb with these people's agreement. And I pray over anyone that has a stronghold of shame, and with your permission, I bind your mind to the mind of Christ. I bind your mind to the mind of Christ, and I loose you from all else. I bind your mind to His mind. I bind your spirit to His spirit. I bind your heart to His heart, your body to His body, and I loose you from all strongholds of shame and fear, condemnation. You're accepted and acceptable. You are righteous. You are the head and not the tail. You are righteous. Come and be known. Come into the light. Come into the light. Bring it all with you. You are loved. You are loved. In Jesus' name. Go and journal into that. Go and start seeking people out. Ask someone to disciple you. You can tell them you know it's going to suck. Just ask to be known. Or get a peer. Do it with a peer. Say yes to mothering and fathering other people. It's our mandate. Make time for it in your week to disciple others. We're going to go from here into some morning tea. Please fetch your children if they are not fetched. And we're just going to open the altar time. It might take time. We don't have a massive team. But I just encourage you, if you just want to come up, if there's something you even like, I have to confess this, come and confess it. If your heart's beating, just come. We forget the stories afterwards. We go back to just being brothers and sisters in Christ. Just come. If there's someone to forgive, if there's a church to forgive, just come. We would love to spend time with you at the front. Otherwise, just go and talk to someone in your life hub or you're journeying with and bond. Bless you. Thank you.